Rain hammered Clara Hensley's windshield, the wipers of her battered sedan screaming against the deluge as she tore down the coastal highway toward Riverton, Oregon. Lightning split the sky, casting jagged shadows across the twisted pines that loomed like mourners along the road. Her hands, calloused from years of gripping pens and steering wheels, clenched the wheel, her pulse a drumbeat in her ears. She'd seen the video everyone had. A golden retriever, formatted with river water, eyes wide with terror, dragged from a churning torrent by a man in a flannel shirt, his face blurred into a smudge of mystery. 50 million views in 48 hours. Hashtags: a hashtag river rescue, hashtag dog hero, swarmed X like locusts. Donations flooded a crowdfunding page for the dog, named Lucky, and his faceless savior. Petitions begged the hero to step into the light. It was 2025's beacon of hope, a story to make cynics weep. But Clara, a freelance journalist with a bloodhound's nose for lies, saw the cracks. The camera angles were too perfect, the lighting too polished, the dog's whimpers too calibrated for tears. This wasn't heroism. It was a stage, and she was going to burn it down. Her phone buzzed on the passenger seat, its screen glowing with a text from an unknown number. Stop digging, or you'll sink with the dog. Her breath caught, a cold spike in her chest. She'd rattled cages before, corrupt mayors, shady startups, but this threat felt sharper, like a blade pressed to her spine. 3 nights ago, scrolling X in her cramped Portland apartment, she'd paused the video at 1:47. A flicker in the background, a second camera, half hidden by a tree, betrayed the setup. The rescuer's dive was too fluid, the dog's gaze too cinematic. Someone had choreographed this, and they had money, power, and a reason to hide. Clara tossed the phone into the glove box, her jaw tight. She wasn't stopping. Riverton emerged from the fog, a speck of a town drowning in mist and pine. The river that bisected it roared, a relentless growl under the storm. Clara checked into the seaside motel, its neon sign flickering like a dying heartbeat. The room reeking of mildew and regret. She dropped her duffel on the sagging bed, opened her laptop, and dissected the video frame by frame. The rescuer moved like a dancer, each step deliberate. The water's churn was edited for maximum drama. The dog's eyes catching the light just so. And there, in the mud of the riverbank, a glint metal, maybe a tripod base. Gone in the next frame, erased like a guilty secret. Clara's heart thudded. This was a production, and someone was directing it from the shadows. At dawn, the storm still raging, she hit the local diner, a relic with checkered floors and booths that creaked like old bones. Bev, the waitress, had crow's feet and a stare that could cut glass. "Hear about the dog?" she asked, sliding Clara a chipped mug of coffee that tasted like motor oil. Her voice dropped, conspiratorial. "Happened by the mill bridge. Nobody knows the guy. News crews, 2 vans, fancy gear rolled in like they were waiting for it. Gone before anyone could blink." Clara's pulse quickened. 2 crews? Any names on the vans? Bev glanced at the door, her fingers twisting her apron. Didn't see. But they weren't local. Had earpieces like spies. Town's been buzzing, but folks are spooked. Nobody talks too loud about it. Clara paid, her mind racing. News crews didn't swarm rural Oregon without a script. She drove to the mill bridge, the river a frothing beast below, its banks slick with mud and battered reeds. Rain soaked her jacket as she scoured the area, boots sinking into the mire. No tire tracks, no gear, just a rusted beer can and footprints half washed away. The storm was erasing evidence, and she felt eyes on her back, maybe the wind, maybe something else. Back at the motel, she dug into the crowdfunding page. Friends of Riverton Pets had raked in $200,000, but it was a ghost. No address, no contact, just a digital mirage. On X, cached forum posts revealed deleted whispers. Shadow Creek 91 wrote, staged. Saw them set it up. River Rat added, dog wasn't wet till they threw it in. Both accounts were scrubbed within hours. Someone was watching, and they were fast. Using a dark web tracker from her hacker contact, Jax, Clara traced Shadow Creek 91 to a trailer park on Riverton's edge. Dusk painted the sky a bruised purple as she knocked on a rusted trailer door. Kyle answered, a lanky 20-something with bloodshot eyes and a vape cloud trailing him like a ghost. He was jittery, his fingers tapping the doorframe. "I ain't talking," he muttered, but $50 changed his tune. "I was fishing by the bridge," he said, voice barely above a whisper. Van pulled up, black, no plates. Cameras, lights, the works. Guys with earpieces like some CIA shit. Dog was in a crate, looked healthy. They dunked it in the river, filmed the guy jumping in. Took 20 minutes. I posted about it and my phone's hacked by morning. Got a call, no number, saying I'd regret it if I talked. Clara's skin crawled. Who were they, Kyle? He shook his head, eyes darting to the shadows. Dunno. But they weren't fucking around. You should leave, lady. They'll come for you too. She left, her pulse a war drum. This wasn't a prank. It was organized, funded, and dangerous. The next lead was Lucky, supposedly at Riverton's shelter. The concrete building reeked of wet fur and disinfectant, the air thick with barking. Marla, the receptionist, was a wiry woman with a smoker's rasp. She confirmed Lucky was adopted yesterday by a nice couple who paid cash and left no name. Looked like city folk, Marla said, showing Clara a photo. Lucky's fur was pristine, no trace of river grime, his eyes too calm for a dog that had nearly drowned. Clara's gut twisted, another lie. At the county records office, she hit a dead end on Friends of Riverton Pets, but a clerk mentioned Apex Media Solutions, a company that rented equipment locally during the rescue. Apex's website was slick, promising viral content creation, but its client list was locked behind a firewall. Jax cracked it in an hour, revealing ties to pharmaceutical giants, political lobbies, and a nonprofit called the Horizon Collective. One name burned into Clara's brain, Dr. Elena Voss, a behavioral psychologist whose papers on neural manipulation read like dystopian fiction. Mind control. Emotional triggers. Mass compliance. Clara's hands shook as she read. This was no stunt. It was a chess move in a bigger game. She tracked Voss to a Portland conference, slipping into the hotel ballroom where the doctor spoke to a room of suits. Voss was a hawkish woman in her 50s, her voice smooth as silk as she lectured on shaping public behavior through emotional triggers. Clara's question about Apex and the rescue sliced through the room's hum. Voss's smile froze, her eyes narrowing like a predator's. Before Clara could press, security grabbed her arms, dragging her out as Voss resumed her speech, unruffled. That night, Clara returned to her motel to find the door ajar, the room gutted. Her laptop was untouched, but her notebook, scrawled with Kyle's name and the Apex lead, was gone. Carved into the headboard, in jagged letters, back off. Clara's fear hardened into resolve. Jax dug deeper, uncovering Horizon's true purpose, a global experiment to manipulate emotions through viral content, priming billions for subliminal messaging. The dog rescue was a trial run, flooding viewers with dopamine to make them pliable for campaigns targeting elections, drug trials, even wars. The syndicate, corporations, governments, tech moguls, wanted minds, not just money. Clara's next move was an abandoned warehouse outside Riverton where Apex stored gear. She slipped in at midnight, the air thick with dust and oil. Crates held cameras, scripts for the rescue, and a USB drive with raw footage. Lucky, sedated, lowered into the river. The hero rehearsing his dive, coached by a man in a black suit. Files outlined Horizon's next phase, subliminal ads disguised as charity drives, set to roll out globally. The warehouse door creaked. Clara froze, her breath shallow. Footsteps echoed, heavy and deliberate. She stuffed the USB into her bra and ducked behind a crate as two figures entered, their silhouettes sharp against the moonlight. She's here. One growled, his voice clipped, professional. Find her. Clara's heart slammed against her ribs. She crawled toward a rusted vent, the metal cold against her palms, and squeezed through, scraping her knees. Outside, she sprinted to her car, tires screeching as she floored it. Headlights flared in her rearview, black SUVs, gaining fast. Her phone pinged, you can't hide. She swerved onto a back road, losing them in the fog, but her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Clara uploaded the footage to a secure server, sending it to every major news outlet. Most ignored it, bought off, she figured, but she posted snippets on X under a pseudonym. The truth sparked, but Horizon's bots swarmed, branding her a conspiracy lunatic. Trolls doxed her, her inbox flooded with death threats. Still, a few voices amplified her, and the story cracked open. Clara knew she had one shot to end it. Voss was speaking at a gala in Seattle, a glitzy affair packed with elite backers. Clara crashed it, her press pass forged, a hidden camera in her glasses. The ballroom glittered, chandeliers, champagne flutes, power brokers in tailored suits. Voss stood at the podium, her smile a mask of control. Clara waited, her pulse a live wire. As Voss praised humanity's capacity for hope, Clara stood, her voice cutting through the murmurs. What about the dog, Elena? Why stage the rescue? Who's funding Horizon? The room froze. Voss's eyes locked on Clara, a flash of fear breaking her composure. Clara's glasses streamed the raw footage to X, the screen behind Voss flickering to life, Lucky in the crate, the staged dive, the truth unspooling. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Voss stammered, "This is a misunderstanding," but Clara pressed forward, dodging security. "You're manipulating millions. Elections, drugs, mines," she shouted, her voice raw. Hans grabbed her, yanking her back, but the stream hit 10 million views in minutes. Security dragged her to a side room, a man in a black suit looming over her. "You're dead," he hissed, but sirens wailed outside. Someone had called the feds. Clara slipped free in the chaos, her heart a jackhammer. The footage spread, investigations launched, and Horizon's empire began to crumble. Clara went underground, a ghost with a target on her back. Lucky, wherever he was, remained a symbol of hope or lies, depending on the angle. The truth was out, but the syndicate wasn't done. They'd come for her, and she'd be ready. In a safe house, Clara sat by a grimy window, the city's pulse faint beyond the glass. She'd lost everything, her apartment, her safety, her faith in simple goodness. Horizon's scheme exposed a world where even a dog's rescue could be a weapon, twisting hearts to control minds. Kyle's fear, Marla's apathy, Voss's cold ambition, they were all pieces of a machine that chewed up trust. Clara wondered if humanity could ever heal, if kindness could ever feel pure again. But the spark she'd lit burned on posts on X, whispers in newsrooms, a growing roar. The truth was her weapon, fragile but sharp. She'd keep wielding it because some lies were too big to let live.